Hey guys. Okay, so I just wanted to share with you all something that happened today that I feel like was a beautiful, kind of beautiful, unexpected moment. Um, and, as a spiritual teacher, this happens to me often, okay? But I thought it would be good to share it because it can give you an example of how you can use little snippets of wisdom to help awaken the community, okay? So this guy knocks on our front door, and he's a young man, you guys, like maybe I'd say early 20s, early 20s. And I come downstairs and I'm asking my kids, I'm like, who's at the door? They don't know. Okay. So I open the door and I was like, can I help you? And he essentially asked about my neighbor. And I was like, okay, like, what are you asking me? He's like, so and so next door. I was like, yes. He said, she referred you to me. Referred me to you because he had like a pest control company, or I don't know if he had a company or if he worked for a company. And I guess he was trying to bring us like a little brochure. Anyway, and so you guys, I'm at that stage in my life where I'm just very direct and not rude, but direct, okay? And I said, well, honestly, we don't put any chemicals in our garden, and I wouldn't use your services anyway. I said, I appreciate you coming by, and I understand that this is, your business, but I said, we just don't do that. I said, and truthfully, my husband's a contractor and he knows how to do all that anyway. And I said, but even with his knowledge of it, we don't use any of those chemicals. If he does ever use something in the garden, like to protect the plants, it's like all natural, like essential oils and things like that. And so he said, so what about, like, he's like, because what I'm doing is just going to like get them out of your home, and it's non-toxic. It's the same stuff we use at daycares, and it's the same things that we use in hospitals. And I was like, no. I said, I won't be responsible for killing what's in the garden. And I said, let me tell you something. And I was like, listen. I said, you want to hear something strange? I said, we don't have a problem with bugs in the house. And I said, and I believe in my heart it's because we've made peace with the garden. I said, I don't spray anything and I don't have issues in my house either. And I said, once in a while, we'll have like a big tree bug that flies in, and that's very common in Louisiana, you guys. All my Louisiana people will know this. But my cat will get that. I'm like, she goes and she'll get it and I don't have to do anything. And I said, I want you to think about what I'm telling you. I was like, listen, I said, when you spray these things and you're even just killing insects, and in your mind you're killing a pest, right? I was like, but that's food supply. I said, every animal that you eat is living off of these beings that you're killing. And so he chimed in and was like, oh, like the circle of life. Now listen, he was kind of young, you guys, but anyway, he's like the circle of life. I'm like, yes. I said, so essentially you're killing their food supply, and also, God forbid that one of the birds eats one of these bugs that's consumed these chemicals, and then it kills the bird too. Anyway, I just don't like any of it. But I think it kind of clicked. I'm like, like if you want to eat meat, but you don't want to feed the garden, I don't understand that. I'm like, that's not symbiotic living, okay? Like, we are in a physical realm. We do need to consume food. I understand that. But if you're going to consume something of the garden, whether it's food or plants, meat or plants, okay, then you need to give back to the garden. That's balance, right? And I'm like, think about what's happening when you come in and you're just killing all these beings. So anyway, I don't know. We had a little conversation about it. It was, just brief, but it was enough to like get him thinking, and it clicked. He was like, And I even told him, I said, listen, you may not change a thing. I said, but God does give you and all of us these moments of choice. And in this moment, he has shown you something through my words, through my wisdom. I'm older than him, right? I could be his mother. I said, through my observations and wisdom, he is showing you that maybe this isn't the answer. right? And that can apply to many things in life. And I think he really received what I said. Now, I don't know what he's going to do about it. And listen, I'm not going to judge him for his job and what he thinks he's supposed to be doing to provide for his own needs. I got that. But I just kind of wanted to plant that little seed of, hey, think about what you're doing when you're putting these things in the garden. We're all depending on the garden. She is our mother. We're all depending on balance and really organic living as best as we can. And so it kind of opened his eyes to the fact that his very life and way of life is actually dependent on the garden being a thriving ecosystem. If I guess that's the right word. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but do you know what I'm saying? So it kind of opened his perception of things. So it was just a little moment, but I feel like it was important. And imagine if we each took a moment in our daily lives to share one snippet of truth, just simple divine truth, with people that we encounter. When you feel the time is right, you have to use your discernment. But in those little moments, if you share just a little bit, to open their eyes to the Great Mother, to open their eyes to Sophia, to open their eyes to the feminine and how she supports everything, okay? I think it's, that's how you wake up a collective, is these tiny little moments, one little thing at a time, right? So I just want to share that because I felt like, I felt like he got something from it. And it was very unexpected for me or him, because obviously we didn't even know he was coming by. But maybe he'll think about it in the future. Very interesting. So I don't know. Let me know if this happens to you guys in your spiritual journey, if you encounter people on a daily basis that you share little snippets with and how they react to it. I'd love to hear your stories. Love you guys. Bye.